Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Royalty Cut here, and in today's tutorial basically we'll be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful blouse that you see on my thumbnail with a necktie. Please, if this is a video you're interested in, please keep on watching to the end, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also turn on your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. So for this tutorial, these are the equipment I'll be working with. I have about 1.5 yard of this crepe that you see here, and this is the fabric that I'll be making use of. I also have an elastic band that will be attaching to the end sleeve of this blouse that we are doing, and I have my scissors, and of course I also have my tape. So let's get down to the drafting. Now the first thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to fold my fabric into two. Now I'll be folding with my biggest upper body measurement, which is my round bust, and I'm working with round bust 34 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and divide my round bust measurement into 4, and I'll be adding extra 3 inches to it. So whatever thing I have, that is what I'll be folding with. And also the half length or the full length of this blouse that I'm working with is 23 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and fold this fabric. So after folding up the fabric, this is what I have. As you can see, this fabric is on fold, but I actually went ahead to cut out the front piece and the back piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and place each piece on the other one so that we can cut the two pieces together. So I'll just make sure that this aligns. But if you can't actually get yours accurately, just like me, just go ahead and cut your front piece or your back piece first, then use it to trace out the other one that you did not cut out. But for me, I'll be doing the two together. So the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do right now is to mark a line that will be serving as our starting line. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this. This line will be serving as our shoulder line and also our starting line. So from this point, this blouse is not going to be having a zipper. That was why I did not leave any zipper allowance for it. So from the shoulder line, I'm going to go ahead and divide the shoulder to shoulder measurement that we are working with, which is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. But I'll be adding extra half of an inch for joining the sleeve. So I'll be going in with 8.5 inches on the shoulder line, just like you see me mark over here. Now after that, I'm going to go ahead and divide our armhole measurement. The armhole measurement that I'm working with 2 is 16 inches. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. So from this shoulder line, vertically, I'm going to go ahead and mark our armhole line, which is 8 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and use my curve ruler to connect the line. After connecting the line, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is from the shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, which will be serving for our shoulder slope. So I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch here. Then from this point that I marked the 1 inch, I'm going to go ahead and measure what I have from this point all the way down here, and I have about 7 inches. So I'll go ahead and divide these 7 inches into 2, which is 3.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark the 3.5 inches. Now at this point that I marked 3.5 inches, I'll be coming in by half of an inch, just like you see here, and I'll be connecting it with my curve ruler. From this 1 inch, I'll be connecting to this half of an inch. Now after connecting the lines, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to impute our vertical measurements. Now from the shoulder, I'm going to go ahead and impute our bust point, which is 10 inches. And our waistline, which is 16 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it. And I have the full length of this top that I'm working with, which is 24 inches. And the end of this material will be the full length. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend the lines. After extending the lines, I'm just going to go ahead and determine the neck width I want for this dress. Now for the neck, I'll be going in at this shoulder part by 3.5 inches. depending on what you want. But I think I should be working with 3.5 inches for the width. Then for the depth, since we are cutting the front and the back piece together, I'll go ahead and do 2 inches for both the front piece and the back piece, because after separating the back piece, we go ahead and determine what neckline we want for the front piece. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my curve ruler to get our neck width measurement. Now, after marking the neck area, I'm just going to go ahead and connect this 1 inch that we already marked here for the shoulder slope all the way down to this neck area that we have vertically, just like you see me do. Now, after that, at this bust point area, I'm going to go ahead and divide our round bust, which is 38 inches, into 4, and it will be giving us 9.5 inch. Now, remember that this blouse is not a fitted blouse, so we'll be adding extra allowance to make it free. So our normal round bust measurement divided by 4 is 9.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 9.5 inch. Now, after marking the 9.5 inch, I'll be adding 3 inch for ease. Now you can choose to add more depending on how free you want your blouse to be, but I think 3 inches will be perfect. So after adding the 3 inch, I'll go ahead and mark it, and I'll be using about half of an inch to join the sides. So for the waist area, I'll go ahead and divide our round waist measurement, which is 34 inches. 34 inches divided by 4, 8.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.5 inches, and I'll also be adding the 3 inch allowance that we already added to the bust point area, just like you see me do here. Now, after that, I'm going to go ahead and connect this armhole measurement that we have all the way down to this point that we marked our bust point, just like you see, in a curvy way. You can choose to go ahead and use your curve ruler or a free hand to achieve this. Now, after marking our armhole curve, I'm going to go ahead and connect the vertical lines that we have here. Now, after connecting it, just like you see me do over here, for the full length, I'm just going to go ahead and measure our round hip measurement. Now, the round hip that I'm working with is 40 inches. 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 inch. So at this full length, I'm going to go ahead and mark 10 inch here, and I'll be adding extra 3 inch just like we added for the upper sides. So I'll add 3 inch, and I'll go ahead and join from the waist to this new line that we have here, just like you see me do. So after that, our blouse is ready. Now I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. Now remember to add half of an inch at the shoulder line and at the neck for stitching it or turning it over. So after I went ahead to cut out the front piece and the back piece, I'm just going to go ahead and unpin one piece away from the other, just like you see me do over here. And now you are going to go ahead and choose whichever piece that you want to be replacing your front piece. So for me, I'll go ahead and remove the piece that is under. So I'll be working with the one on top because it has the lines that we worked with. Now, after that, you're going to go ahead and determine how you want your neck area to be. So for me, I want a slit at the center of my neck area. So I'm going to go ahead and place my tape ruler at our shoulder measurement, just like you see me do over here. And I'll be determining where I want this slit to be. Now, remember that we already have 2 inch as the neck area. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 5 inch, because that's where I want my slit to be stopping. You can choose to do 6 or less or more, but I think 5 inch is perfect, or 6 inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my scissors to slit the center from this point all the way down to this point that I marked the 5 inch, just like you see me do. Now, after slitting it open, this is what our front piece is looking like. Now, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do now is to cut a facing for this front piece and also a facing for the back neck piece. And I'll be going ahead to stitch it down on my sewing machine, and after which I'll be ironing it out. So for the sleeve of this blouse that we are sewing, as you can see, it's a balloon hand. So we are going to go ahead and be pleating the shoulders, and we'll be attaching an elastic at the wrist of this sleeve. So what we are going to go ahead and do now is to fold our fabric just like I did here into four, because we'll be cutting the right and the left sleeve together. So I have about two folded fabric here. So after that, the next thing I'm just going to go ahead and do now is to take my measurement directly from this folded edge. Just as you can see here, I'll be taking it from this folded edge. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark a starting line, or we can just take this point to be our shoulder line. Now remember that we are working with armhole 16 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and divide 16 inches into 2. 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. Now remember, we also added half of an inch for joining it, but at the sleeve we will not be adding extra half of an inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark 8 inches. Now, if you should go ahead and mark this 8 inches directly exactly the way it is, you won't be getting any excess allowance for the pleating. Now, for the pleating, what I'm just going to go ahead and do is to add extra 6 inches to the normal armpit measurement that we have. Now remember, you can choose to add excesses depending on how full you want your own balloon sleeve to be, but for me I think 6 inches is perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and add extra 6 inches here, making it 14 inches in total. So we have 14 inches here. So 14 inches divided by 2 will give us 7 inches. So from this shoulder line, vertically I'll be marking 7 inches, and I'll be extending the line all the way down to this point that we marked 14 inches. Now after marking the 14 inches, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do right now is to go ahead and divide these 7 inches that we have from this shoulder line into 2, which will be giving me 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the 3.5 inches all the way down to the end of this measurement. Now, after marking half of it, we are still going to go ahead and divide this 14 inches into 2. Now, this 14 inches divided by 2 is 7 inches. So from this point, I'm just going to go ahead and mark 7 inches horizontally all the way from this measurement to this end, down to this measurement we have here. Now, after marking that, this is what it's going to look like. Now, the purpose of this is to get our sleeve cap. Now, after marking this, I'm going to go ahead and use my curve ruler. You can also use your free hand. From this tip here, I'm going to be connecting it in a curve way down to this center point that we have here. Now, make sure that this edge is not sharp. Just make sure you blend it in. So after connecting it to the center of this place, in a curvy way upwards, I'm going to be connecting from this center down to the end of this point. I don't know if you can see. Just watch if you're not understanding. So I placed my curve ruler this way. So after that, this is what our sleeve cap is looking like for the excesses of the balloon sleeve. Now for the full length of this sleeve, I'm working with the length 24 inches. So from this tip, we'll be taking our measurement from this tip and not from any other side. So from this tip, I'll go ahead and mark 24 inches, but I'll be adding extra 2-inch allowance for the folding of our elastic casing, making it 26 inches in total. So I'll just go ahead and mark 26 inches all the way down. So after marking the 26 inches at this point, I'm going to go ahead. There is no need of attaching your elbow measurement because it's not necessary. I'm just going to go ahead and connect from this point that I have all the way down to this point. Now remember that I did not impute my wrist measurement at the end of this fabric because it's not necessary until we'll be attaching our elastic to it. So this is what our sleeve is looking like. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out. cutting this out, this is what our sleeve is looking like. So I'm just going to go ahead and notch the center part of these sleeves, just like you see me do over here. So after that, I'm just going to go ahead and place this aside. So after turning over the neck area of the front piece, this is what I have. I went ahead to change my front neckline because my client just called and said she didn't want the slit, that she make it a V-neck instead. And that is why we have something like this. But if you're good with the slit, just go ahead and add the slit. Now I also went ahead to face for the back neckline. Now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to place this right side facing each other. Just make sure that the sides are equal, just like you see me do over here. So I'm going to use half of an inch that we added while cutting this to join these two shoulders together, from this end of the neckline down to the end of the side with about half of an inch. So joining the shoulders with about half of an inch, now I'm going to go ahead and flip this to the right side, just like you see me do over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick one of the sleeves that we cut out earlier, get the center part that we notched at the sleeve cap. So this is the center part of the sleeve that we notched. So I'm going to go ahead and place this sleeve to one side of our armhole, right side facing each other this way. And I'm going to be pinning that down, making sure that this center part is aligning with the two joints that we have here. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin this down. Now for the pleating, remember that we have a lot of excess at the sleeve cap. So I'm just going to go ahead and pleat the sleeve cap of this sleeve into the armhole of this blouse that we are making sure at the end of the day that all the pieces of this sleeve aligns at the end of the shaping part. I don't know if you understand. Go ahead and do the same thing for the other sleeve, and after that, for the sleeve too, I'll go ahead and be folding in about 1 inch, just like you see me do over here, creating space where our elastic band will be passing through. So we are going to be creating an elastic casing here with 1 inch. Just make sure you fold in and make sure that there is a space while you fold the second one, so that your elastic will be able to pass through from here. After I went ahead to pleat the sleeves to the fabric, this is what it's looking like. This is what our sleeve area is looking like at the front side. As you can see, the pleated part that I had to do at this shoulder line. I also went ahead to fold the down part to enable our elastic casing to pass through. Now for the elastic casing that we will be attaching to our wrist side, you just go ahead and get your round wrist measurement. Now the round wrist measurement that I'm working with is 8 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure in my half-inch band. So I'll go ahead and measure 8 inches here. So I'll go ahead and cut this out into two places for the right and the left sleeve. Now notice that while cutting this, I did not actually drag the elastic band. I just had to measure it the way it is. Now this is for our elastic band. Now I'm just going to go ahead and bring an office pin, and I'll be attaching this office pin at the tip of this band that we have here. So bringing this further, I'll be inserting it into the wrist of the sleeve that we folded earlier through the elastic casing that we have. So I'll be placing this inward this way, and while placing it, I'll make sure that I'll hold to this end to avoid it slipping in. So while putting it in, I'll keep on holding on to this end. So I'll just also make sure that every of this material enters into these 8 inches. After inserting this elastic band into this casing, making sure that each side actually entered, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch at the end of this place with the rubber inside, the elastic inside, and the fabric. I will top stitch it many times to hold it firm, and also do the same thing for this side. And I'll also be passing our elastic to the other side too. So I'm actually done inserting the elastic to the elastic casing, and this is what I have at the wrist area. And I also went ahead to double notch at the side. So now I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to the wrong side, making sure that all sides are equal, just like you see me do over here. So after turning this over to the wrong side, from the wrist of this blouse that we are making, that's from this elastic place we are going to be joining from this part all the way down to the full length of this blouse. We'll go ahead and be joining it with half of an inch from this point to this point all the way down with half of an inch, and we'll also go ahead and join the sides with half of an inch and fold the down area, and that will be all for the blouse. So for the necktie of this blouse that we are making, some people might choose to attach their own necktie directly to the neck of their blouse, but the client I'm making for doesn't want that. She wants the piece to be separatable so that whenever she wants to rock the up, she can also do it without attaching this necktie. But if you want yours directly on your necktie, just go ahead and attach it to your sleeve. So I went ahead to cut the length of this necktie by 60 inches. So I'll go ahead and fold this into two, just like you see me do over here. I'm going to go ahead and fold it into two. The length is 60 inches and the width, I think I have 8.5 inches, not on fold, but folding it, I think I should be having 4 inch. Now you can actually choose to make yours 2 inch depending on how wide you want your necktie to be. So after folding it into two this way, I'm going to go ahead and refold it at the center just to make sure that the sides are equal. Now this is what I have. So I have 4 in total here. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead and determine now is how I want the ending part of my necktie to be. Now I don't actually want it to be all that straight, so I want to be making a little twist at the end. So from this point that I have this length at the open edge, not the folded edge, at this open edge, at the end tip that is also open, I'm going to go ahead in a slanted way. From this point, I'm going to go ahead and come in by 2 inch. Now you can also choose to do 1.5 or 3 inch depending on the shape that you want. So I went ahead to mark the 2 inch. Then from this point, this 2 inch I marked here, I'm going to be slanting it all the way down to the tip of this band, just like you see me do over here. Now, after slanting it, this is what it's looking like. So this is to help us get a very nice end necktie and not just a straight part. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out so that we'll open it up and see what it looks like. Now this is what it's looking like. Opening up the necktie, this is what we have here. As you can see, we're already having something like a collar sleeve pattern. So at the end now, I'm going to go ahead and use this piece to stitch down. Now from this part all the way down, I'll be sewing with half of an inch. From this point all the way down to the full length with half of an inch too. And when I get to this point, this other side that is of this form, I'll be stopping here and turning it over to the right side. Is at the wrong side. So when I turn it over to the right side, I'll show you what to do next. So after stitching the side, just like I showed you earlier, with about half of an inch, as you can see all the way down, I'm going to use this part that is open to flip it over to the right side, just like you see me doing over here. So after flipping this over to the right side, as you can see, we're already having this pattern at the end. I'm now going to go ahead at this open edge that we have earlier, where we flipped it over to the right side. I'm going to be folding it with about half of an inch inward, just like you see me do here. I'll fold it towards this way, making sure that those rough edges go inside, and I'll be having something like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch. I'll go ahead and top stitch to close it. So after top stitching it all the way with at the end tip of this folded edge that I have, I'm going to be ironing it out, and that will be the end of this tutorial. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and also turn up your notification bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. See you in our next video. Bye.